The Lancia Delta HF Integrale wasn't built to be polite. It wasn't built to win design awards or to appeal to the people browsing showroom floors. This was a car born from mud, snow, broken driveshafts, and the collective will of a rally team hellbent on domination. It arrived not at the beginning of a story, but at the climax of one. A lost, furious exclamation mark at the end of Lancia's golden age. A time when Italian engineers, with grease on their hands and cigarettes tucked behind their ears, conjured machinery so ruthlessly effective that it rewrote the rules of rallying again and again. But to understand why the Evoluzione 2 deserves its status, not just as a fantastic hot hatch, but as possibly the greatest of all time, you have to look beyond spec sheets and lap times. You have to trace the years of development, the competition, the triumphs in WRC, and what it meant for Lancia to give the world this final gift. So the Evoluzione 2 is the final chapter in a story that started back in the late 1970s with the Lancia Delta, a Giugiaro designed 5-door hatchback never meant to become a motorsport legend. Initially it was a sensible compact car, a Fiat Group product like many others. Then in 1983, Lancia applied the HF badge to it, meaning high fidelity, a name used previously for the Stratos and other performance-oriented Lancias. But it wasn't until 1985 that things became serious, when the Delta HF Turbo arrived, followed quickly by the HF 4-wheel drive. That 4-wheel drive system was more than a marketing gimmick. It was a prototype for something far more dangerous. You see, in 1986, Group B, the mad science experiment of global rallying, was shut down after a series of horrific crashes. The Lancia Delta S4, a fire-breathing, twin-charged freak of engineering, was suddenly homeless. Group A was now the top class, and the rules were strict. Manufacturers had to homologate their rally cars by building road-legal versions. It wasn't enough to just be fast anymore, you had to be functional, and Lancia wanted to dominate Group A as well. So Lancia took their HF 4-wheel drive and adapted it, rushed, raw and flawed, but it worked. In 1987, Juha Kankkunen took the Drivers' Championship and Lancia won the first of 6 consecutive manufacturer titles in the World Rally Championship. From then until 1992, the Delta ruled. Every year, a better, faster, tougher version arrived. In 1988, the HF Integrale. In 1989, the 16-valve. Then came the first Evoluzione in 1999. And finally, in 1993, the Evoluzione 2. This wasn't just an iteration, it was the evolution, the natural selection of speed. Now at the heart of the Evoluzione 2 sat the Fiat Lampredi 2-liter inline-4, a piece of iron block toughness born out of the 60s and refined through decades of motorsports. In its final incarnation, it produced 212 horsepower thanks to an upgraded Garrett T3 turbocharger, multi-point fuel injection, and a reprogrammed ECU. The turbo itself was water-cooled, which was a rare feature in a road car at the time, and it meant you could keep the boost coming longer, harder, and more constantly. And that figure, 212 horses, might not raise your eyebrows today, but this was 1993. Back then, anything over 200 in a hatchback with 4 driven wheels was borderline insane. It weighed 1,340 kilograms, and the result was a 0 to 60 time of 5.5 seconds. This was Ferrari pace, supercar pace, but that wasn't even the point, because this car didn't make its name on drag strips, it made its name in hairpins, on gravel, on mountain roads iced over and battered by rain. The Delta's front suspension was McPherson, but redesigned and strengthened over earlier versions. The rear was also independent, finely tuned, and together with the Dawson rear differential, it gave the car an uncanny sense of grip and balance. The Dawson diff was a revelation, where traditional diffs could be clumsy and unpredictable under load. The torsion unit responded smoothly through throttle input, distributing torque actively between the rear wheels based on grip. Combine that with the vicious center coupling, and the Delta had one of the most intelligent all-wheel drive systems of the era. Visually, the Evoluzione 2 was unmistakable. The bare-tone penned box arches pushed out to accommodate a wider track weren't just styling cues. They housed 16-inch speedline alloys wrapped in chunky rubber. Functional air vents flanked the front arches, helping evacuate pressure and keep the brakes cool. The spoiler at the rear was adjustable, not for show, but to trim down high-speed lift. It was longer and wider than the original HF, but with better aero and a stronger shell. Every tweak had a purpose. The bonnet, for instance, featured NACA ducts designed to feed the engine bay with cool air. Inside, it was a different story. You didn't get a stripped-out, rally-ready shell. This was still a Lancia, so Ricardo bucket seats in beige Alcantara hugged you tight, but felt decadent. The Momo steering wheel was thick-rimmed, leather-wrapped and gorgeous. The dashboard, though dated by modern standards, gave you everything you needed. No nonsense, no fluff. But by 1993, Lancia was all but done with motorsport. Fiat, its parent company, had pulled the plug on the WRC campaign. The Delta was now a trophy, not a weapon. And yet, the Evoluzione 2 didn't feel like an afterthought. It felt like a gift to the fans. A lost hurrah. A production car sharpened by a decade of war and finally refined to its absolute peak. Only 2,500 were made, all of them left-hand drive, all of them expensive. You see, in 1993, the price was $43,000, which is about $80,000 today. This is not a small sum for a hatchback, but then this wasn't an ordinary hot hatch either. It was a distilled rally car, fitted with number plates. Today, collectors treat them with reverence. Values have held firm, and examples in good condition are trading for as much or even more than they costed new. Not because of nostalgia alone, but because they represent something that can't be recreated. A hot hatch built from the inside out by people who knew what victory felt like and what defeat cost. Now look, cars like the GR Yaris and the Civic Type R are spectacular. They are fast, well built, technologically advanced, and often quicker around the track than an old Delta. But they didn't claw their way through the snow of Monte Carlo. They didn't topple rivals year after year. The Evoluzione 2 is the road-going version of one of the most dominant rally cars ever. 6 manufacturer titles, 4 drivers, endless wins. It wasn't marketing, it wasn't simulation, it was blood, sweat and suspension geometry. It came from another era, one where engineers worked late into the night, not for lap time bragging rights, but because next week's rally stage was dirt and torture. The Lancia HF Integrale Evoluzione 2 isn't the greatest hot hatch because of its numbers. It's the greatest because it represents the absolute apex of an idea. Take a sensible car, apply decades of racing knowledge, and produce something that feels alive in your hands. Nothing before or since have come close to doing what this thing did with so much style, so much substance, and so much fury. Although I will say the new GR Yaris is pretty freaking insane. That is one of my bucket list cars as well as this. So yeah, I think in modern terms, the closest thing you can get to the HF is probably the GR Yaris. But I do like the HF Integrale even more than the Yaris. But yeah, at the end of this video, please let me know what you guys thought of the video. What did you guys think of this car? And if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you guys did like this video, you'll most probably enjoy most of my other stuff. So just go through my channel, see if there's someone to like. I'll check you guys in the next one. Cheers, eh?